Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod Spark Tank edition. We have Adora Nwodo with us today. She's founder at Nexus Scale. Has been a software developer for quite some time. Stanford educated. So senior software engineer means that she's great at cloud platforms and SRE. She's got a couple of books as well: Confident Cloud, Beginning as Your Ops, Cloud Engineering for Beginners. Cool person, author and global speaker, ex Microsoft. This podcast is presented to you by podper.com. That is my podcasting company. And Qualia Mind if you want to optimize your brain while on a busy working day as an entrepreneur. Adora, welcome to the pods. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Thank you. I mean, you pretty much said everything that I could say. I think you've done a fantastic job at that introduction. Thank you so much. I am a senior platform engineer currently building database cloud services. I used to work at Microsoft, actually. I spent almost 5 years there. I am an author. I have 3 books, currently writing my fourth one. I've spoken at over 150 plus conferences. I love to teach and educate people on technology and cloud engineering generally. Yeah, I also am a Stanford lead alumnus, right? So I finished from Stanford lead in Stanford GSB last year. Um, yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it really.
Right. And Nexa, tell me a bit more about that one.
Okay, so yeah, Nexus Scale is a nonprofit that is currently connecting people to simulated work experiences that help them start and scale their careers. So boot camps, apprenticeship programs, hackathons, opportunities to build basically. Because one thing is that there are many, yes, there's tech layoffs happening, but there's also a lot of tech hiring happening. But then there's a gap because if you notice, roles stay open for longer than they should because people are not able to find the ideal candidates to fill in those roles. So basically, what we do is to help people prepare for the job markets, connect them to opportunities that make them build and gain work experience before they are just so that they are job ready, before that time comes, essentially. And we made it a community as well so that they can learn and grow together.
Right. And what are the economics of the platform so far? How many customers? What's the current MRR?
So right now there are um it's a community, like I said, it's community run, it's a social enterprise. So right now there are 11,000 community members. We have 2 sponsors and about 25 partners. We also have 30 volunteers, and we mostly everything that we've been doing is like around partnerships, because sort of like getting grants and donations in this period is pretty hard. So we've been doing a lot of partnerships, leveraging the organizations that we work with and giving them, because I mean, we have a community base of about 11,000 people. So giving them access to our communities, in return, we get the opportunity to place people in internships or in apprenticeship programs, or give them the opportunity to work on open source projects within these companies just so that they can gain experience. But we are 11,000 members strong today.
And are you seeking to raise capital for that one, or is it purely social?
It's a social enterprise, so it's not a for-profit business. So even if we're seeking to raise some kind of money, it's going to typically be around grants, donations, or that's typically what the funding is. We also consider ourselves as sort of like, so I would say a social enterprise as opposed to a non-profit, because we actually do things that help us make money back. But then there's no profit sharing. All the money that we make back, either through helping with interviewing or recruiting or serving as the bridge between companies and talents. Sometimes when we do those sorts of things, we get money back. But the money is also now put into a different initiative within the organization as well, because there are a bunch of initiatives that we have We have initiatives for helping girls, young girls get started in tech. We have initiatives for democratizing access to resources like laptops. So we've partnered with hubs around different parts of Nigeria, and they people in the community have access to those hubs. They can walk in and use the laptop for free. We have, the regular initiatives for tech trainings, and we have the initiatives for simulated work experience. So even if we make money from the initiative for work experience or hiring, for example, we now get that money and put it into the laptop drive, which does not make any money at all, but it's totally for impact. So most of the kind of things that money that we're looking to raise, and obviously, definitely it would be nice to get donations, and any other kind of funding, because that's how we would stay up and continue making the impact that we make. But most of all of this, donations that we're trying to gather is around doing impactful work because we are a social enterprise.
Right. And how do you make money nowadays on your side?
So the main thing that we do to make money is collaborate with organizations to help in their hiring processes. So we have a community, we have a pool of talent, and if companies, we've done this for two companies in Canada actually. So if companies want to hire or want to get talent for their boot camp or actual talent to work on their products, we help with the interviewing. We take the brunt of interviewing, that entire load off of them, essentially. And all we do at the end of the day is put forward candidates for the role that they're trying to hire for. And yeah, we get paid to do that. One thing that we're also currently working on doing is building applications for the community that we can monetize. So it's going to be built by the community for the community. And those, small kinds of applications are things that just can be easily monetized as another way to make money for the community as well. But right now, all we have mostly are sponsors. We have a sponsor that has dedicated the next 1 year to funding us. And that's how we run, basically, through these sponsorships, as well as the little money that we make from the consulting that we do.
Right. And you still work at Vault Hill as a technology advisor as of now?
Um, I work at a different company. Like I have a full-time job as a senior platform engineer. Vault Hill is, like I said, it's an advisory role. So all I do there is Vault Hill is a company helping to bridge the gap between like AI and AR VR. And my role at Microsoft was around a lot of things mixed reality. So I serve in the capacity of an advisor for Vault Hill, but that's not my full-time job. That's very seasonal. So I still work as a senior software engineer building database services.
These these speaking gigs that you have, do they come from just publishing a couple of books?
So the speaking gigs that I have come from different places. Sometimes I reach out by submitting proposals to speak at certain conferences. Most times nowadays, actually, I get invited to speak because I've written a bunch of books. I do a bunch of things in the community, and people see me and know that I am a public speaker. So a lot of times, like let's say 8 out of 10 times, I get invited. 2 out of 10 times, I reach out to conferences to apply to speak there.
And what's the interest behind your books? For example, deploying apps on Azure and DevOps.
I mean, I love DevOps. I love the cloud. I am a cloud engineer by profession. That's pretty much what I've been doing. That's what I did at Microsoft. That's what I'm currently doing now. And like I said, I love to teach. And what I'm focused on is developer education around, apart from like my actual job. What I want to do is spend a lot of my time teaching to help people become better developers. And my field is on the cloud. Everything, my technical expertise is related to cloud engineering. So if you see all the books that I have written, all the courses that I have created, most of the talks that I put out are around cloud engineering and DevOps.
What are your top objectives for this year?
My top objectives for this year would be I recently moved into a new country, so one thing I want to do is get stable first, right? So that's obviously paramount for me. Getting stable, also contributing to Nexus Scale and growing our programs beyond the current places that we serve. So we're trying to launch a bunch of chapter programs across Africa beyond the different states that we currently have chapter programs in, especially for the young girls that we're trying to help get into tech. So that's one very important thing for me. Um, Another thing that is also very important is work related. Can't talk about it because of NDA reasons as well. But yeah, so that would be my biggest goal for Nexus Scale this year. And my other goal is for my job. We're trying to release something and yeah, hopefully getting that released as well.
Why is it important for young girls to learn to code at this age?
I think it's easier to um catch them young essentially because it's easier to spark interest at a very young age as opposed to when they get older. And we've seen the statistics. We know that about 30 something percent of engineers are, I think 20 something percent actually are women. So the disparity is quite a lot. And if we're going to bridge that gap, it's easier to bridge that gap when they're younger as opposed to when they've grown and they found interest in other kinds of things. So the goal is just for us to let them know that, hey, there's this thing called tech that exists and you can be fantastic at it if you want to be, and just like showing them that there are other role models, women as well, that they can aspire to be and they can look up to. Because if we're going to be building tech for a diverse society, we also want to make sure that the builders are diverse, right? We want to make sure, because there's also economic benefit to it as well. And because we know that, you know, different people bring different sorts of things to the table and to the business. So we should not leave a whole demographic out. So it's important to include women in doing that. And it's better to include them early on because it's going to be harder when they grow to get them interested in things like this.
Right. And opportunities from any parts of the world in terms of being a software engineer, do you think it's still promising even with the advent of tools like Devin AI that can fully replace software programmers?
I think that it's still very promising. One thing I keep saying is that engineers will not go away. There have been software engineers 20 years ago, and there's software engineers down. There will be software engineers in 20 years as well. What's going to happen is that the field of engineering will most likely evolve, and we're going to see that happening. But what this means is that if you are going to be in this space, then you have to scale up. You have to get with the program and learn the new things and beef up your skills to be useful and value adding in what the tech world is going to become. But software engineering skills, or rather the demand for software engineers, are not going anywhere. As far as tech is alive, as far as AI is alive, software engineers are going to be needed. The role might just most likely evolve.
Right. And the creativity aspect to it as well. I think it's quite important. I think creativity will not be replaced anytime soon. AIs mostly work on existing human data. So if you're in the future, if you're out there, if you think in an innovative way, I think you can survive for quite a while in this market. Well, thank you so much, Adora, for coming on today. Where can people find out more about you?
Thank you so much. Yeah, you can find it about me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Adora Nwodo. I'm also on LinkedIn at Adora Nwodo as well. And my website is www.adoranwodo.com.